Welcome back
to another chapter of Books, Booze, and Besties. No.
We'll just leave that in there. That's funny. Welcome back to Books, Booze,
And Besties.
Sarah had a stroke.
That's offensive. To stroke victims, trigger warning, we apologize in advance.
Oh my gosh. We're off.
Yes.
For the weekend, 3-day weekend. Hell yeah.
We are about to fucking live it up for the next 2 days. Once you are intoxicated, you'll feel better.
I will. I'm just nervous.
I don't blame you. Obviously, I can't relate on that level, but I get it.
Leaving my baby.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I don't love my big kids, but I know everything's going to be good for them.
Well, you've left them behind before and they were okay. This is the first time.
I've never left them behind.
Well, you know what I meant. I'm not saying you're abandoning them.
I abandoned my children. No, I've never been away from my baby, so that's going to be sad. We sleep together every night. We co-bed. Don't care what your opinions are on it. Don't DM me.
It's only going to be like 30-ish hours.
It's true. Oh, that's true. If I look at it that way, it's
Yeah.
really
And
not that bad.
At least 8 of that you'll probably be asleep. Hopefully it'll be the first full 8 hours you get in a while.
I probably won't sleep, but I just don't sleep anyway, because I'll be waking up.
Well, surely you will, though, because you're going to be drunk.
We're going to be drinking. We're going to Oktoberfest in Cincinnati. DM us if you want to hang and you're going to be there. Nobody showed up at the movies, which is cool. We're still new.
It was also church night. We get it.
Yeah. So, if for some miracle you're going to be at Cincinnati and you want to party or hang out at Oktoberfest, we are going to be there tomorrow night. Oh, this is not going to be out.
So everything you've just heard has already happened. Sorry you couldn't join us. Did you know that the Renaissance Fair is actually in Dayton, Ohio? So it's a little over an hour away from Robbie's house.
Really?
North.
Are you joking?
I am not shitting you.
That's so far away.
And it's Pirates themed, which is...
I know. I'm checking out my pirate theme. My pirate costume is not maternity, but I did wear it when I was 6 months pregnant. Drink of the week. Oh yeah, we haven't talked about the book yet. Oh yeah, I gotta pull up the synopsis. Excuse our...
We're not used to recording on a work night.
A quote-unquote work night. Like, it's Thursday, we're confused.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was Friday multiple times today.
Me too. Like, I wanted to know about my son's test, and he was like, I for sure have not had that test yet. I was like, oh yeah, because it's Thursday.
You literally told me earlier that you were going to take your kiddos to school in the morning, and I was like, why? It's Saturday.
That's weird. All right, so... Welcome back to the legit Books, Booze,
and Besties podcast.
Right. Yeah. Welcome. This week we read the book Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica. I think that's how they said it on the Audible, which is what I listened to this week.
I have no idea. I couldn't tell you.
Because we had a shorter amount of time. So I listened to it in my car because I travel quite a bit.
I read a lot faster than I listen, so.
Really?
It said that if I listened to the Audible version, it was like 11 and a half hours.
Yeah. It went by so fast, though.
I read the book in 4 hours.
Wow.
So, listen, when I was in elementary school, they told me I could read a lot of words per minute, so I'm kind of a big deal.
She's so humble, guys. Just ignore her.
I know how to read, okay?
She's so distinguished.
That's what they told me, and look at me now.
Yeah, look at you now. Okay, so Local Woman Missing. Here's the little synopsis on Amazon. People don't just disappear without a trace. Shelby Tebow is the first to go missing. Not long after, Meredith Dickey and her 6-year-old daughter, Delilah, vanished just blocks away from where Shelby was last seen, striking fear into their once peaceful community. Are these incidents connected? After an elusive search that yields more questions than answers, the case eventually goes cold. Now, 11 years later, Delilah shockingly returns. Everyone wants to know what happened to her, but no one is prepared for what they find. Bum, bum, bum.
Would you like to know a fun fact about our podcast?
Yeah?
I don't read the synopses of any of our books because I want to be surprised.
Go you.
I did not know that was what this book was about until I read it.
Really?
Didn't know, because I don't want to expect things. I want it to be like a genuine go in completely blind. And honestly, I think that makes the book experience better for me, because if the synopsis sounds like something I don't like, I feel like I'm going to go in with a meh attitude.
Yeah.
But up until tonight, where I read the synopsis for the next book, I have not read a single synopsis for any of the books that weren't after.
That's cool.
I didn't do it for Hidden Pictures. I didn't do it for Perfect Strangers. And I did not do it for Local Woman Missing.
Yeah. The only thing we knew about the last 2 books were what we had heard on TikTok.
Yeah. I mean, and for Hidden Pictures...
Even then, it was all lies, so...
Well, I mean, even on the video I showed you for Hidden Pictures, it did not tell you anything about the book, just that it was spooky and it kept the girl up, so...
Yeah.
I didn't...
Spooky dookie.
The Dukester.
The Dukester.
So I don't know. I think it's better for me not knowing, because I go in, I don't know what to expect, and so when something happens, which may have been in the synopsis, may have not, like, I didn't know that the synopsis literally talked about Delilah coming back, so...
You know what? I didn't know that either. So that was weird for me.
I think it's just better, honestly.
Maybe I didn't read this one either. I just know we had a person recommend it. A follower recommend it. So, yeah.
For me, I think it works better going in, not
That's
knowing.
a good idea. Maybe I should start doing that.
Because, I mean, just with a few short sentences on the back of a book, you're going to make your mind up on whether you want to read it or not. And obviously, I want to read the books we're going to read for the podcast, so I just immediately started not doing it, because I was like, I don't want to go in with opinion already, so...
Yeah, I get that.
Works for me.
That's a good idea. I might refrain from doing that also. So, let's dive in.
Okay.
What do you think?
I obviously, have some qualms with it, but I think this is my favorite book we've read so far.
Mine too.
I thoroughly enjoyed this. Like, I pulled me in. There were some things that were meh about it.
Yeah.
I hate the switching back and forth a lot. I mean, I get it. It was the point of the book or whatever, but instead of it ever being from the direct point of view of any of the victims other than Meredith.
Right.
I don't know. I get it. It built suspense, like having it from Kate's point of view instead of Bee's, and Leo instead of Delilah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you really couldn't have it from Bee's.
I mean, like, I get it. The back and forth in the beginning was meh for me, because there was nothing happening, but once it started getting, like, into the nitty-gritty, then I was cool with it. Although Leo himself was just...
He was kind of a prick to begin with.
Well, and I thought to myself, I was like, he's literally a 15-year-old kid. I get it. He felt neglected by his dad, lost one parent, the other one was focused on his sister. I get it. But he starts off a douche. He gets better. Immediately, one thing he doesn't like, he's instantly a douche again.
Right.
And then his dad's like, don't be a prick. And he's like, okay, maybe I was. And then he just moves on. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I get it. I would be jaded, too, if what happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
But...
And obviously, he has a really hard time. Like, he gets bullied at school, and he can't live a normal life because his dad refuses to move out of the house where Delilah and Meredith went missing. And he's just like, his life has been frozen in time.
like, as a therapist, all I can think about is, like, you're just continuously living in that trauma.
Yeah.
And, like, I get it. The dad doesn't want to move on, but you're also stunting your child.
Yeah.
And this, the thing I was going to say about Leo and the discrepancy I have for him, totally out of order because this comes towards the end of the book. Well, I think actually when we first meet Leo, he talks about it. He's talking about false memories and how he doesn't remember things his dad tells him. But then towards the end of the book, when the stuff comes out where supposed Delilah made up Gus, he's like,
Yes.
you can't do that. Like, that's a lie. You just did this for attention.
Yeah.
No, obviously not, because why would she choose to sleep on the basement floor and things like that?
Yeah.
But you literally wanted to see if you had false memories. Literally looked into it. And then the second she has one, she's seeking attention.
Yeah. Also, I call that. I don't know. It was just weird the way she was like just the way she described Gus. I was like,
Yes,
I bet he is a hallucination.
I could see that. But there was also part of me that was like, maybe he is real, because she had a whole backstory for him.
That's where I was like, maybe I'm wrong.
Because she literally was like, Gus was kidnapped because he was playing basketball. They had a dog. They pulled him in with the dog.
But she had to have a reason he was there.
But she literally, even in her like backstory for Gus, was like, and the basketball just stayed on the court.
Yeah.
Like, it was intense.
Yeah.
But I also could see it because, like, just like that first chapter was so long. And a lot happened, which I get it, because they had to get all of Delilah's stuff out before she escapes.
Yeah.
But, like, when she talks about eating the candy bar, and she's like, I'm sure he has one for Gus, too. The guy's completely focused on.
Well, that's what, yeah. Like, I went back and forth with it, but I was like, I just had this sneaking suspicion that Gus was fake.
Well, because at that point, Carly/Delilah and Gus would have been, like, 16, 17, so he's not going to turn his back on one while he's looking at the other. They might escape.
Yeah, that's true. Trigger warnings. We forgot to include those. Abduction,
physical abuse, murder.
Yeah.
Domestic violence. Well, hinted at.
Yeah. And
they're early stages of predatory, like, child abuse stuff.
yeah. I'm trying to go through all this stuff.
Intimidation, too, but, like, in the manipulation where B's literally, like, I'll literally kill you if you say anything.
Yeah.
I would emotional and verbal abuse, because I can only imagine what it's like to be locked in a basement or locked in an attic for 11 years.
Slit wrist. I mean.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, for that, it would be suicide.
B is attempted to kill her, make it look like a suicide.
So, suicide awareness. I think that's about it.
There's no substance use or alcoholism in this one.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
It's mostly mental abuse.
Oh, yeah.
And a little bit of physical.
Do you want to talk about our drink of the week?
So, in Local Woman Missing, about the only alcoholic beverage ever mentioned is beer, which we're not fans of, really.
Yikes.
And wine, which we can handle some wine, but that's not exciting. So we decided to repeat a favorite that we've had, which was Malibu Sunrise.
What were we talking about?
We just finished talking about our drink of the week. We did have some technical difficulties, so we're going to start from there.
Yeah.
I guess really now we're just getting into the book.
Did you say it was a Malibu Sunset?
Yeah, I talked about how we went back with a favorite because there wasn't much to go off of in the book. But now that I think about it, we totally could have been like, is there anything called like a tsunami or a tornado or...
Yeah.
I didn't even think... There's probably a drink literally called El Nino because they had El Nino.
Yes. Dang it. Well,
It's the Thursday, of course. I mean,
we're thrown off. We're so messed up
it's
right
okay. We got one of our favorites, which is super freaking good. So
now. Malibu Sunset. Yeah. Yum.
you CB.
Yes.
I was talking to the mascot, not my co-host.
Anyway, so our characters, we've got Shelby. We start the book with Shelby.
Yep, we got.
There's a lot.
I mean, we've got like 6 main characters and then a lot of supporting characters. So obviously we've got Kate, Leo, and Meredith.
Yeah. Shelby.
Shelby.
Josh.
Delilah.
Fake Delilah.
B.
B.
Did you call her B?
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was supposed to be B or like Bay or.
No, it says B, and I listened to the Audible this week.
Okay.
And it was B.
Okay, so.
For Beatrice.
That's right. It says that in the book. Why was I like, is it Bay? Beatrice.
But
could you imagine if that was one of those classic names instead of like
I'm
Ethel?
gonna name my next baby Beatrice.
Instead of it being like Ethel and Margaret, it's Beatrice.
Beatrice.
If you wanted to shorten it and you didn't want to do Bay, it could be Beatty instead of Betty.
Yeah.
Beatty.
Beatty. Oh my gosh. Oh Lord. We're so funny. Anyway.
So,
who else? Oh, Jason, Shelby's husband.
Dr.
Feingold.
Jeanette, the midwife, Marty and Cassandra. It's Cassandra. I did listen.
Oh, yeah.
I listened to a little bit of the audio, and it's pronounced Cassandra instead of Cassandra.
Mm-hmm.
Piper, little Lily Morris.
Oh, little twat Morris.
Is
that really it?
Oh, Grace, because, that's another trigger warning because of the stuff that happens during Grace's birth, where there's a lack of consent from the doctor.
Yeah.
There's harm to a child, literally.
Yeah. Oh, man, that made me flinch.
So I think that's it. It's all the big ones.
Yeah, that made me flinch.
Oh, we're forgetting 2 of the biggest perps in this whole thing. The 2, according to Leo, meth heads that kept Carly for 11 years.
Oh, yeah.
Martha and...
Oh, no, what were their names?
Martha and Eddie?
Maybe. The 2 people that kept Carly.
I know the town they were in. It was Michael. I can't remember their names because it was just like 2 older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to jump to the end. Anyway.
The detective.
Oh, the lady cop.
The one that has the hots for
He never
widow.
really says her name. He just calls her lady cop.
Carmen. Her name's Carmen.
Oh, was it Carmen?
Carmen Rowlings.
Oh, look at you. I totally missed that part. I just know she was lady cop.
Yeah, because that's how Leo describes her. But when Josh is talking to her, in the beginning it's Detective Rawlings, and then when they start making mushy faces, it's Carmen.
He was not going to make any mushy faces with her anymore after that. Anyway, so we open up, and Shelby's going to bang some guy.
Yes.
Who we realized was Josh. Did you not catch that?
It was not Josh. It was Morty. Cassandra's husband.
That's right. No, not Josh. I'm getting the guys confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cassandra's husband.
Yeah, because it talks
like,
about the ring coming off. And
yes, and you're like, ding, ding, ding.
Which, so I want your opinion. Who did you think was coming at her with the car in that first chapter? What did you think? Until you find out the truth. What did you think it was?
I honestly had no freaking clue.
I honestly thought that it could have been like, because later on, before you really do find out the truth, you find that Cassandra is very pissed at Meredith, so she's obviously
Yeah.
a vengeful person. So I honestly thought it was like a scorned woman.
I legit never, ever saw what happened coming.
No, I didn't either. And that's, since we're here, I'm going to get to my other big discrepancy with this book. In the very first chapter, Shelby literally talks about going to a dead end street where there's construction to meet Marty for their rendezvous.
Uh-huh.
So why the hell were Bee and Meredith going down a dead end street to get home?
Oh, I didn't catch that.
That makes no sense.
You're right, it doesn't. But I also...
I mean, I get it, they were intoxicated, but I don't know, it felt like it was just trying to make those two fit.
Yeah.
Those are my two biggest discrepancies. Leo being a douche, even though he literally researched for his own personal experience, and then
I don't think I have anything bad to say about this one.
I don't have anything bad to say. I just had two discrepancies that, like, once I realized them, I was like, well, that makes no sense.
Yeah, I actually had two thoughts, but I was driving, and now I was getting annoyed with Meredith for keeping so much from her husband. I'm like...
Well, and it's also like...
And now it's just escalating.
The way she was talking to herself, like her inner monologue, made it literally sound like she wasn't going to the cops. It made her sound like she was literally going to commit suicide. I can't do this. I can't do this forever. Like, I can't live with myself. I'm at the end of my rope.
Yeah.
Those aren't words that someone's going to say, or those aren't words someone says when they're going to go to the cops and spill the beans. Those are words that someone says when they're just going to end it.
Yeah. And I want to know how it looked like suicide when she had... I know they said, like, she had hit her head on something.
Third discrepancy. I knew there was something. Leo literally says when it's one of his chapters, he's like, they say that my mom killed herself but swept things that didn't make sense under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
How did she hit herself in the back of the head? Because if they did the autopsy, they would have seen a literal massive wound to the back of her head.
Right, with a hammer.
Also, where was that weapon?
I'd say B took it when...
Well, I mean, it's like if you go to this motel and you pay for 30 days so no one finds you for a while, you would think all of the things that you use to harm yourself are going to be there.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you. Honestly, I don't know about myself because I've never been there, but I don't think stabbing myself in the abdomen is... Like, that doesn't even cross my mind as a way to take yourself out.
Right. No.
And B pulled the knife back out. If I stab myself, I'm not pulling that knife out, even if my intention is to end it. I don't know. It was just shady.
Yeah, I mean, what's the point of pulling it out? You're going to die no matter what.
Yeah, all of it was shady. Also, Meredith was really dumb there. Like, I know she was just worried about Delilah and thought she was doing what she needed to save her. But how do you not realize that B is literally having you write a suicide letter?
Yeah. It was intense.
Also, why would you go into a small room where your only exit is blocked by the offender?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I felt like on the way to the hotel, she could have, like, wrapped her hands around her face. Like, B was driving a car. She could have done so much.
Which, when they went to the hotel to find her body, before we know what really happened, they said it was 2 towns over a 20-minute drive. And it says in the chapter when Meredith wakes up that they're just a few minutes past the house. So that means she had literally about 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And B just walks back across 2 towns home.
Yeah. How'd she get home?
am now realizing I had more discrepancies with this book than I realized. Because then I thought about that, and I was like, of all the things B did to keep Delilah around and to do all these murderous things, either Kate was stupid or Kate was stupid. How do you not go to your partner's studio in 11 years?
Right.
How?
To even, like, they don't even invite you to, like, just listen to him play.
Like, you guys are not in a real relationship at that. I mean, like, if all you do is go to work and she's out in her studio and your paths never cross,
Yeah.
unless it's dinner time, I mean, how do you not notice that there's now food being bought enough for a third person?
Yeah.
Or B's always in her studio, but stops making music or doing anything to make money after Delilah and Meredith's disappearance.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. I'm just processing. I mean, she kept her just up there for 11 years. And it was soundproof.
I mean, I get not being able to hear Delilah scream or anything like that, but just the fact that in 11 years she never once went to the studio.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. Like, you don't want to hear me play.
Well, I mean, and after Shelby disappeared, she was so concerned about protecting her and B and not wanting to be outside by herself, and then B's excuse for changing the locks is someone tried to break into the studio. And you don't even go and check it out. You just let B do her thing and then never question it.
Yeah. That's just bananas. Like, how do you not know? Like, I guess you do. There are people, like, there are ways you don't know that your partner is a psycho.
But there's just no way they had a legit relationship. Because it's one thing if, like, Delilah was not at their house and being kept somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But she was in the backyard the whole time. In the thing literally called B's studio.
As soon as they said, sorry, I got ice in my mouth. As soon as they were like, let's look in their studio, I was like, there she is.
Which I felt that was pretty anticlimactic. Like, I was processing it in my head after that, and I was like, no one would have literally ever found Delilah until B either died or decided to own up if Carly hadn't have ran away.
Right. Yeah, I know. So, like, did Delilah never try and, like, make a break?
Yeah, it almost seemed like she had Stockholm Syndrome, which I don't think the author wanted to go that far into it, but that's what the hint was when, you know, Kate's talking like, yeah, Josh has every now and then Delilah wants to talk to B, or will be like, I want to tell B that. Which I get it. I mean, that was literally the only parental figure she had for 11 years.
It was the only person she talked to for 11 years.
Honestly, though, with the way B handled Shelby and the way she handled Meredith, I'm honestly surprised she didn't, like, kill Delilah, too.
Yeah. But then it's, like, it's scary because you're, like, she was like, there's my two favorite people, and you have no idea that she is this, you know, capable of this, and she leaves. Meredith is comfortable leaving the kids with her. And
right. I mean, Meredith says that the B she experienced with Shelby is not the B she knew the whole time. So I just don't see how she went from literally killing a person and screaming at Meredith for like 2 weeks straight to literally taking Meredith out to deciding not to kill a child.
Well, I was getting irritated with Meredith when she was like telling B, like, I'm going to go to the police. I was like,
are you stupid? She just killed a person.
She literally just killed a person, dumped this person's body, made it look like this girl was probably sexually assaulted.
Yes.
And you're like telling her your game plan for narking on her.
Another thing that got me is the only two things they convicted Jason for Shelby's murder with was the clothes.
Yeah.
At the dumpster behind his office, and that Shelby was having an affair.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think about it, why would
and the baby wasn't his.
He didn't know that at the time, though.
True.
Why would a husband who wanted to kill his wife also sexually assault her?
Yeah.
That's just not something that is going to happen.
I guess if he was angry enough and he was like, stick it to you, like,
I
in the
didn't see it.
literal
I didn't
and
think, I just did not picture that. Like, no.
yeah. Yeah, that whole thing, like they convicted him on not a lot. Well, he was also, obviously abusive.
Well, they never really proved that, though, because Meredith thought he was, and, like, he
Mhm.
was kind of an aggressive person, but, like, when she met him at the hospital and stuff,
Oh
she
yeah.
even mentioned, like, sure, outwardly he's a bit of a douche, but when it comes to Shelby, he's not.
Right.
So,
Yeah. The whole thing. I mean, I definitely from like the get-go, I was intrigued.
mhm.
It kept my interest. I I really liked it from the beginning. I was listening to it at home. I'd put my headphones in and like do paperwork, and in the background I was listening to this, and I'd be like, "Holy crap!" And my husband would be like, "What? What?" And I was like, "This book is crazy." I really enjoyed it
Yeah, it hooked me. It hooked me.
early on.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously I wanted to know, especially the stuff with, Carly Delilah in the beginning. And it was just talking about like the abuse she was enduring.
Yeah, I don't feel like it went into enough detail with that because they definitely hinted that the male captor was obviously sexually attracted to her, I guess, if that's, I mean, well, for
Right.
lack of a better term.
Yeah. Because he's like, all you know what you have to say.
I mean, she's 16 at that point, so it's untelling what he's done. She, in her inner dialogue, talks about how they did a lot of heinous things to her, but it doesn't really talk about it.
I know. And I kind of thought like it will get to that later.
But it never does.
Yeah. It
I mean,
never mentions it.
the most you hear about are the scars from being bleached.
Bleached, and she said she had like some slices on her arms at some point, I believe.
Yeah, like the blisters and stuff on her face and arms were all from bleach, getting burned with bleach, and then the scars.
Yeah.
But she always mentions that they did horrible things to her, but they don't, which obviously I get it. It's trauma, it's traumatic. It would have made this book a lot more intense.
Darker.
But it hints at it so much that you would think it's going to mention something.
Yes. Yeah, I mean that whole thing was intense. Like I kept waiting. I was like, is she going to make it out? Is she going to make it out? And just like trying to like imagine what she was experiencing in the little snippet we had. I kind of wish we would have had more insight into her later on, which I guess, I don't know. I guess they weren't trying to give too much away with her character.
Well, but she felt like a means to an end because once you find out she's not Delilah, she's Carly. She
I
just
had no
falls
idea
off.
was coming.
I mean, I didn't either, and I felt like it was a little weird the way they set that up with Piper being the Randall that figures it out.
That points it out.
Yeah, that was a little weird to me, but after you find out the truth, Carly just, I mean, there is no conclusion for Carly.
Yeah. I think it said she went back to her parents.
But that is,
yeah.
we spent 400 pages reading about how she couldn't sleep in her bed and how she wanted to teach her supposed brother how to play her game, chicken, and all these things. And then you find out Carly is Carly and not Delilah. And then it's literally 2 sentences. They found her at Delwood Park and her family came and picked her up.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah. It was interesting though. Like, I am trying to think. Shelby goes missing. Then, we talk about Delilah, and I'm like, who the heck is Delilah? Because we hadn't even been introduced at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just starts to escalate from there. And, and then we find out Delilah and Meredith are missing. And that whole thing with Dr. Feingold, like, what a douche.
There were a lot of things thrown in to kind of throw you off, too.
Yes. Which was fine. Like,
yeah, no, that's why I never saw what was coming.
Exactly. And I liked that about this book. I enjoyed reading it and not having any idea, not being able to figure out. Because even when Meredith was like, they were just getting ready to leave the restaurant or whatever, wherever they were at, she was like, and I never saw it coming. talking about the accident.
Mm-hmm.
They
I
say
thought they were going to get into a literal car accident.
I did too.
And get like a DUI.
I never linked. Excuse me. I never linked the incident with Shelby to them until she's literally like,
No,
we ran over somebody.
Well, they presented the thing with Shelby like a scorned lover.
Yeah.
And they had made it sound like someone had targeted Meredith with the text messages and stuff. So, like, there was the text messages from Cassandra, so you didn't expect that. Like, you thought maybe that's what took Meredith out.
Yeah.
And another thing that just really got me, like, how quickly they were just like, okay, yeah, Meredith killed herself and we'll never find Delilah. Why would Josh think, yeah, there's someone out there that I don't know that Meredith just trusted with Delilah? Also, why would Meredith want to give Delilah away?
Right.
And another thing that I caught, the message that B had Meredith write is not the message they found.
Really?
Yes. If you read it, B tells Meredith to write, she's safe. Something, I don't know. But the letter that B writes is, you'll never find her. That is not a part of Meredith's letter. So how did they not realize that it's not Meredith's handwriting? It's a different letter. I'll look it up. Like,
yeah, because you have the book, I have the Audible, so it's hard for me to like think about. Like, I'm not seeing it all written on paper, so I can't compare. But I just had something in my head, and I was thinking about it, and now I can't remember. Oh, the Cassandra thing. Like, I felt like they were both, like, Cassandra was overreacting and Meredith was underreacting. Like, if I was Cassandra, she is totally validated in her feelings. They freaking lied. And if I was like, okay, you lied about knowing each other, I get that. Like, sure, whatever. You lied about your relationship.
I mean,
like, that's suspicious.
You literally lost your virginity to this man.
Right, you lost your virginity and you were pregnant. That's a big freaking deal.
I didn't see that coming either.
I didn't either. Well, when Meredith makes the comment, she's like, "What? There's no way she could know about me and Josh." Like, well, if he has a freaking yearbook, sure she can.
So I looked it up. B has Meredith write, Delilah is safe, she is fine. But the letter they find is Delilah is safe, you will never find her.
Oh.
It's a different letter.
Oh.
I'm trying to, like, it's literally different.
Yeah.
So, and obviously Meredith's not going to write, you will never find her. B literally changed the suicide letter, and they just didn't notice it was not, like, why wouldn't you take it more serious if a child's missing?
Yeah, exactly. And then the cop, like, lied. She was totally fired after that, just saying. I did really like this book, though. It kept me interested the whole time. But I did feel like the end was a tad bit underwhelming.
Yeah. With how intense this book was up until, like, the last 2 chapters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It just felt like...
And B went from decent human being to psychopath in a hot second.
Like, how did she keep that under wraps the whole time? Like, I can see after you get away with it, kind of, like, chilling out. But, like, how do you go 2 weeks with knowing you killed someone with your car and just chill? And then you kill your friend and you're chill. And then you keep a child in your studio. How are you not, like, freaked
for 11
out?
years? 11 years. I would be so on edge the whole time. But I don't know. She was crazy. Up until she turned into a nut job, I liked her relationship with Kate.
Yeah.
Like, they seemed cool. Everybody seemed cool on the block except Jason Tebow. He was an abuser, kind of. I definitely think there was some sort of violence there. Because she did say, she was like, if my husband found out I was cheating, he would have beaten whoever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I was immediately interested, you know. And she was sneaking off to bang Marty in the beginning, which, you know, you find out by that little nod from Cassandra. I'm like, everybody's just banging somebody else, apparently. I did for a second think that Meredith was banging Marty for a second, because she was like, just for that second where she's like, she says, what did she say? She was like, there's no way she can know about me and Marty.
Yeah, you would think that they're having
And
an
I
affair.
was like, ooh, are they getting it on? And it was like, no, that was in the past. But then she doesn't really allude to how serious it was, just that they were in a relationship, but they're not now. And obviously, and she didn't say, like, I literally lost my virginity. To him, I was impregnated by him. Like, that's intense.
Well, another thing that kind of bugs me is they talk about how Grace goes to live with her bio dad after Jason goes to jail, but they don't say who it is, but we know there's a possibility that it could be Marty. But
Oh, yeah,
we
I
know
never
that Shelby's
followed
having
up.
an affair with at least 2 different men, because it was not Marty at the T-Bell's house the day that Meredith went, or she would have recognized him, like, just by his voice.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. And then they mentioned that Marty and Cassandra moved their family across town, so I'm curious.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe the affair came out with Shelby and that's why they moved, or if it turned out he was the dad. But I feel like they would have mentioned Grace, you know, in the now with Leo and Piper if he was. I don't know, it was weird that that family up and moved.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I was just really frustrated with the amount of lies or the things Meredith was keeping from Josh. You know, I was like, you say you have a great marriage and blah, 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 but, like, I don't know. If I got a threatening text message, I immediately would have been like, Steven, like, what the shit? Like,
Well,
help me with this.
that whole thing was silly because she was like, I'm not going to show him the messages. I'm not going to tell him about the lawsuit because I don't want him to take away my job as a doula. And then 3 chapters later, she tells Jeanette she's going to take a break from being a doula and be a stay-at-home mom. So you don't tell Josh about it, but you let it get to yourself fast enough that a few weeks later you're ready to be a stay-at-home mom, which is what Josh wants anyways. So you could have been telling him the whole time, and then it's just too late at that point, according to you. But
yeah, I was like, why are you just lie after lie? And then, you know, obviously they have the hit and run. And she's like, well, I can't tell him that.
Well, and I kind of feel like, obviously I'm not going to say B's a murderer, but the fact that she ran over Shelby and then backed up over her again, that seemed intense. That seemed like she was making sure she was dead.
Yeah. I mean, B was crazy. If she wasn't crazy, she wouldn't have been able to murder Meredith like that.
Well, it felt so planned out by B. I'm not saying she planned to kill Shelby, but I definitely feel like there was a thought there about doing it sometime, or something she knew how to do, because she immediately had gloves on, was telling Meredith what to do, knew exactly where to take the body to hide it. Like, she had it planned out.
Yeah.
Even though it was just a coincidence.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but if I was drunk and I accidentally hit someone, I'm going to be freaking the fuck out. I'm not going to be planning on how to cover it up.
Right. Yeah, same here. I'd be like, I'm totally screwed.
She had to be a psychopath or had experience doing something like this before. Like, there had to be something.
Yeah.
I mean, she literally tried to get a fake ID after she was on the run. So, like, there's more to B than we ever knew.
Yeah, and she even, like, has the audacity to call Kate when she's in prison and tries to, like, victim blame. Like, how could this isn't my fault. And it was like, yeah, 100%.
It is your fault. You got in a car while you were intoxicated, and then hid a body. Call the cops. I mean, you would have got a DUI and you would have spent some time in jail, but
It would have been manslaughter.
yeah, I mean, it was your first offense, and honestly, you're in a rich neighborhood, so I wouldn't have seen much coming out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, Meredith's thing as a doula would have been screwed, but she didn't care. She was on board with telling the police.
Meredith would have literally was ready to take the fall for her and be like, you know, I'll freaking tell him you were asleep in the back seat.
It makes me feel like there was more to be in her history than we knew because she was so afraid for them to find out.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, more so than this was an accident and I'll get into a little bit of trouble. Like, even when Meredith was like, this is what I'll say to take the fall just to get it off my chest, Meredith was like, they'll never believe you, blah, 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 blah. Like, she had an answer for everything.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, shut up, B. Nobody wants to hear your bullshit.
Literally, B.
Bay.
No, it was just, there were some things that, there's some discrepancies that got me a little bit that I couldn't let go, but the frustrations were just a part of the book. It's not like I disliked the book because of them. It's what kept me involved. Like, Meredith's story just got strung out for so long, and it was so infuriating. Like, the first few chapters you learn about her, it's great, and then you get like 3 chapters where she's like, here's the lawsuit, here are the text messages. It just keeps piling on and on and on, and
right.
She doesn't tell Josh, and then she literally is a witness to manslaughter, so can't tell him then.
Right, now it's all just piling up, and I'm like, I don't know, I guess that says more about my marriage, though, is that I would have immediately, when I got that first text, been like, Steven, like, I don't know.
Well, yeah, because she was scared to death when she went to her car that night after she helped at the hospital. She thought someone was following her. Like, she was scared.
Which, at that point, the only big secret it could have been, was the thing with Marty.
And that wasn't even a legit thing. Like, yeah, you probably should have told Josh and Cassandra. But that's not something worth killing you over because you're not having an affair, which Cassandra did think they were, but she literally said, I haven't done anything to anyone.
Yeah, so I'm like, then why not just tell Josh if you've got nothing to hide? And then when I thought she was banging Marty at that time, I was like, oh, okay, that's probably why. But then it wasn't that either.
So for her to be like so involved as a mom, and I'm not mom shaming right now. I'm really not. But she talks about like how overly invested she is in her kids. And then the littlest thing pops up and she's instantly like, she gets the first text message and she's more involved in the text messages than actually bathing Leo that night. Josh walks in and is like, the water's cold. And she's like, well, I haven't given him a bath yet.
Yeah.
She gets frustrated over the Shelby thing and then literally yells. Oh, it was actually the Marty thing. Yells at Delilah because Delilah wants to play with Piper and can't. She, like, I don't know. She lets it bleed into a lot of her life.
Yeah. No, I had something I was going to say. Shoot. It triggered me when you were like, I'm not mom shaming.
Triggered you?
Not triggered, but like
I triggered
brought that up. Trigger.
Oh, and then like the thing with Leo and Charlotte, that was another thing that ate me up. A kid, a 4-year-old does not get a bruise on his butt like that unless someone else did that to him, and you just let him go back. You just let it pass over your mind because you were distracted.
Yeah, I thought that was going to turn into something
Why
much
would
bigger.
you ever let him go back?
I thought the teacher was actually abusing him, Miss Charlotte.
Right, I thought something serious was going on, but aside from what it was, you know, like a 4-year-old does not get that kind of bruise on their own, not just falling or whatever. Someone hurt him, and you kind of just let it pass over your head because you were worried about something else, and then let him go back, and then he got locked in a toy chest.
Yeah.
How would you ever let him go back? How would you not take that more serious?
I really thought that it was that was going to be the teacher, and she was lying about the kid.
Well, yeah, because she got so defensive when Meredith called her the first time.
Yeah. I really thought that was going to turn into something bigger, and it didn't. And I kind of felt like that with a few things. Like, ooh, I thought it was going to be bigger, and it wasn't.
Well, and just going back to the Leo thing, she talked about how he would literally beg her not to go. And, like, after you see that bruise and he's begging you, how can you not just
Oh, yeah, for
find
sure.
a different babysitter? Like, you don't even have to just keep him home. Find somewhere else for him to go. At that point, you should realize he's not saying, I don't want to go to a babysitter. He's saying, protect me because I'm going to get hurt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would have been like, I'm not going back to work until I find somewhere for my kiddo to stay.
I mean, because she had no qualms about missing work when she had Shelby on her mind, but her 4-year-old gets a bruise on his butt that's literally purple, and
Oh, yeah.
the babysitter can't tell you what happened, and you send him right back the next day.
You better bet your sweet ass that I'm going to go somewhere and tear somebody up. My baby's got a bruise on them that doesn't belong there.
Which, I mean, she finally finds out who hurt Leo, but it's literally, she finds out the night before she's just ripped, so.
Yeah.
Rip in peace, you know what I mean?
Yes.
R.I.P.
Bay is ripped.
R.I.P.
Bay rips her.
Rip in peace. Rest in peace, in peace.
Overall, I did like this book, though. I felt like it was really intriguing. It kept me
No, I really did. I enjoyed
involved. Yes. Like, I never saw the plot twist coming.
The mini plot twist. I didn't see all of them.
Yeah, no, I didn't see any of them either. You know, especially, like, I didn't see Delilah not being herself. Or not being
Right, yeah.
her.
Didn't see Delilah actually being Carly.
Yes.
And I felt so bad for her, too, because, like, later on you find out she was 16, but even, like, when she first escapes, the lady's like, how old are you? And she's like, 12?
14, yeah. Like
she was 16.
Yeah.
11 years. Could you
Living in the
imagine?
dark.
11 years. You just sit there and suffer for 11 years.
Could you imagine Josh, though? Like, his little girl was next door.
I don't see how he and Kate were friends after that. Because
I was kind of curious about that, too. I don't see how Kate didn't get, like, booed out of town.
Right.
Just for, you know, there's always going to be those people who are like, I think she probably knew.
Well, I mean, I would even be one of those people. How do you live with someone? How do you marry someone? And you don't even go to their studio that's in your backyard for 11 years.
And have a secret like that. That's a pretty intense secret.
Well, and I thought it was so strange because Leo gets shunned at school and is, you know, bullied because his sister's missing and his mom potentially killed herself.
Quote, unquote,
but then
kill herself.
Kate's wife literally was a murderer and a child abductor and kept it a secret for 11 years, and then she's best friends with the victim's dad after that?
Yeah, like, my wife killed your wife, but we're still on good terms.
I mean, I don't see how Josh did that, because I would always believe that somehow she knew. She knew.
Yeah, there's always that question in the back of your mind.
Like, how can you go? I mean, like, it's one thing if it's like, this kid's been missing for a few weeks, a few months, and you didn't know.
Yeah.
But 11 years of feeding a third person, 11 years of buying clothes and books and toys and art supplies and bed sheets and...
Because they said, like, she's very smart, she's well fed.
Like, she was well taken care of for for the situation she was in. How do you not notice that? Because you literally said B basically stopped doing anything, so you're the only one with an income. And now there's stuff being bought.
She was a vet, though, so, I mean, that's...
I don't know. I mean...
That's wealthy.
True.
Which, I mean, she still could have been working out there. You know, she was just also taking care of Delilah.
But Kate literally said, like, after the Meredith and Delilah situation, B kind of just stopped making music altogether.
Oh.
In the book, it literally says, like,
oh, okay.
She became a different person. She was shut off. She stopped making music. She didn't, you know, she didn't do much anymore.
Yeah.
So then why was she in her studio all the time, Kate? You weren't curious?
Yeah. I don't know, like, what are you doing out there?
I don't know, but if I was Josh, I could not be friends with, I would have,
No.
and I would have packed up and moved, too. Like,
Right?
now that I had Meredith back, I could see not moving before then, thinking Meredith's going to come home looking for you guys. I'd always have that guilt in the back of my mind, like,
Right.
what if she just magically knows how to get home and we're not there? It's not us.
But the cops would have known how to get her to where she needed to be.
Well, but then you have someone like Carly, who just runs.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe Delilah would have came back, saw that it wasn't her dad and brother anymore, and just... I don't know. I can kind of see why Josh didn't move him and Leo.
Yeah.
But after Delilah was back, why don't you move? Pick up, go somewhere else, get a fresh start, get away from it.
Yeah. I could definitely...
Same for Kate.
Yeah.
People are going to hate you.
Just by association.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was surprised that she stuck around as well.
Well, I mean, the book talks so much about Leo being bullied because his sister is missing and his mom did what she did. But then...
Yeah.
No one says anything about Kate.
Right.
I mean, honestly, I could see a town like that shutting her business.
Oh, yeah. Like, that's the lady who was married to the killer and the captor.
Well, I mean, they're not even going to be like that. They're going to be like, that's the lady that had Delilah in her backyard for 11 years.
Yeah, that's true. Guilty by association.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised that the cops didn't try to charge her, too, because...
But she was very willing to be like, yeah, tear down the door, do what you got to do, because Bay just bolted.
Mm-hmm.
She just freaking took off. Like, I knew. I was like, when she goes back inside, she's out.
Yeah.
She's going to run.
The second that studio came into play at the end of the book, I knew it was happening.
Oh, yeah. You knew what was going to happen. Like, you're like, either Delilah is in there or her body's in there.
Well, and another thing, Leo was so hesitant with Carly/Delilah. The real Delilah comes out of the studio and he's immediately, like, all over her. So I don't know if that was the author's way of saying, like, Leo subconsciously knew the whole time that was not Delilah.
Yeah.
Or...
Which he said he had thought about the chin before. It alluded to him, like, being like, yeah, I'd kind of noticed that before, but he just assumed she had grown out of it, basically. So, yeah, I think it had softened him to having his sister back, and then when she actually did come back, he was like,
yeah,
I'm ready for this.
Not to be that person, but I kind of feel like maybe he thought it, or maybe he went along with it this time because the real Delilah was not as scarred as Carly was, so it was easier to reconnect with her.
That's true.
Because instead of her being skittish and shy and scared, she was immediately after Josh. She was like, Daddy. So I feel like it was easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I could see that.
That's just me being cynical, but I mean, he spent a whole book being anti-Carly because of her.
Carly. Anti.
Because of her, like, skittishness and what she'd been through and even accusing her of lying. But then you see the real Delilah and immediately...
Yeah.
I really think, just me being me, I think it was because the real Delilah was all about it.
Yeah. I like the book. What would you give it?
4.5.
Yeah, same. I really liked it. It kept me invested. I was intrigued. I did not see the plot twist coming, any of them. Overall, I really liked it. Definitely a 4 to 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Highly recommend it. Will I read it again? No, obviously. It's not like a reread.
It's not it's not the type of book you reread.
Once you know what's happened, it's game over. But it was definitely worth the read.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I finally feel like we've got a good book under our belt.
Yeah.
I liked it.
I did too. I really did. I enjoyed this book.
Same. All right. Well, that was our discussion on
Local Woman Missing
by Mary Kubica.
We have our book for next week picked out already.
Yeah. The Challenge.
There it is. The Challenge by Danielle Steele.
Yes, that was a recommendation by a follower. So I think that was the last one we had. So please keep those recommendations coming.
Yeah.
We don't have any currently. So please, send those in. We love recommendations. We love to read different kind of books.
I mean, this recommendation went pretty well for us. So yeah.
Heck yeah.
We're down for recommendations.
Yes, absolutely. We also have uploaded our first episode to our other podcast, Crimes, Booze, and Besties,
Mm-hmm.
where we discuss true crime and paranormal. Look us up on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and also on Spotify at this time. I
Yeah.
think we're just on Spotify
Are we
right
not
now.
on iTunes?
No, not yet.
Really?
Yeah. Not yet, but we will be. So, yeah, look us up on there. Hopefully, we'll be on iTunes pretty soon.
Yeah.
I don't know. Talk to your husband. He's our person, our editor and publisher, and all that good stuff.
You can find Books, Booze, and Besties on all social media platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. You can reach us via direct message on any social media platform, or you can send anything to our email at booksandbestiespodcast@gmail. If you are reaching out about our other podcast, you can email us at the same email too.
Books and Besties podcast at gmail.com. All right. Like, share, and review, please.
Support us on Patreon.
Do it. We don't have a Patreon yet, but we're gonna. All right, guys. See ya.
See you next chapter, smuts.
Later.